Dude, if he makes the podium, I will buy you a beer.
Oh, great.
But if he doesn't make the podium, you have to buy me 10 beers.
10 beers. Oh. Nice to see you, Adrian. Welcome back to the forecast.
Thank you. Good to see you again. Always good to be back. Always good to catch up for our bi-weekly. I think we do it about every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, almost every 2 weeks. Yeah.
It's about right.
Sorry?
It's enough.
It's enough. Yeah. Yeah. We have other things to do as well.
Yeah.
Can't be talking to you all day.
That's true.
All right, but this is a very exciting episode because we actually have the final list of the riders for next year's King of the Air. Are you surprised about the list? We will go through the list, but are you surprised about the list?
Look, every year I'm surprised. Every year I'm surprised. Look, I think it's been 2 or 3 days now, so I've sort of calmed down a little bit. But there are a few sort of things that really stick out to me now that I think need to be changed. Yeah. Look, there's always going to be that shock, right? We said it from day one. Some guys are going to be upset. There's going to be fingers pointed. There's going to be, why is this person over this person? But, after a week, it just seems normal. And then come the tournament, we're just excited. So, but there are a few things that I think need to be addressed for next year because there is some sort of classic flaws in the system.
Yeah, and we will get into that. First of all, to everyone, welcome to the Forecast Kitesurf pod. My name is Michael Ericsson, and of course, on the other part of the microphone is Adrian Kerr. We have the list in front of us, and we thought that we will go through the list from top down to start with, and then we can go and talk a little bit more about some of the names. Some names are pretty, we were expected, maybe not too much to say, but let's go through the list first. So we have the top 3 pre-qualified guys from last year, which is Jesse Richman, Nick Jacobson, and Aaron Hadlow. And then we also have Kevin Langray, who qualified through the Flight 2 event in Denmark, the called Hawaii. And we also have some wildcards, but first of all, we have the video entries, the one who won the video entries. And there we have Steven Akestijk, Edgar Ulrich, Joshua Emanuel, Val Garat, Janek Gregorczewski, Arthur Gilbert, Stig Hofnagel. Sorry?
I say it like a Dutchman, but I'm not really. I'm just well practiced. Hofnagel.
Hofnagel.
It's close.
Yeah. And then Mark Jacobs, Gil Vlugt, Lasse Walker, and Liam Whaley. That's the qualified from the video entries. And then the wild cards, we have Angeli Buyot, Tom Bridge, and Ayrton Cosolino. That's the list. Where should we start?
You know what? Let's start with the wildcards, because that's the thing that sort of rubs me up the wrong way now. Look, the bottom line is that all these guys are quality riders. Actually, there's so many quality riders this year that it's actually a shame that we've gone from a field of 24 to 18. We're actually taking away the opportunity of 6 quality riders, and there's more than 6 quality riders. I mean, the level this year was the best level I've seen in a long time. That goes back to my problem with the wildcards, right? So with the wildcards, when it was 24 and we had the 3 wildcard positions, it was like it didn't hurt as much, right? Because we still had the opportunity for 21 riders. But now when we come down to 18, we're taking a huge percentage out of people's dreams. And I'm talking about people who are preparing for the full year for this one event. Their focus isn't strapless. Their focus isn't, whatever. They are preparing for Rebel King of the Air to win it for them, for their families, for their sponsors. So I think that one of the things that needs to be addressed next year is they need to, if you reduce the fleet, you need to reduce the wildcards. It's like we just didn't even think about that at the time, but it's caused a massive problem, right? Number one, Anjali. I thought it was great we had Anjali last year. She proved that women can compete at the highest level. Absolutely. But by having her in again, it's a bit of a slap in the face, to be honest, because after last year doing so well, what we should have done is say, hey, hang on a sec. These girls are good. Let's do a girls division. Let's run something for the girls. But no, you know what? Let's just put Anjali back in to keep the females happy again. And to be honest, I actually think that's a poor outcome. Is Anjali going to win the event? Absolutely no way. She doesn't have the board off. She's a fantastic rider. But therefore, by not even having some of the key moves that you need to win, you're actually taking that place away. I would have been more happy this year if they had put on a women's division and put Anjali into that and let her be the role model within that division to inspire the girls. Because again, it's like putting lambs out for the slaughter again. I mean, that's the way I look at it. My same feeling applies to Ayrton. Okay. Why is Ayrton there? Okay. Last year was great. He got in there. He did well. He crashed out early. I think we're going to see the same. You got to ask yourself when giving wildcards, are you developing A for the future or B just, turning this into a circus? And that does sound quite harsh, but I don't want it to be, because I think Ayrton is one of the most talented watermen around, but are we just giving him a spot for giving him a spot? Again, are we taking a spot away from someone who can gather experience in a few years win it? Because that's really what we should be looking to do. I actually don't have a problem with Tom. That's discretion. At least he's riding on a board, At least he can actually do most of the moves. I just think you're putting yourself in a position where you either have to compromise or make exceptions for. And that's not what wildcards should be. Wildcards should be developing the future or giving guys opportunities who may come back from injury. If we had one wildcard and that went with Ayrton, again, I'd say the same thing. As I said before, if they had one wildcard and they gave it to a young guy like Jamie Overbeek, I'd say that's a smart move. Having the 3 wildcards for me is, I'm not saying it's an insult, but it really puts a bad taste in the mouth of the young guys who have missed out, who have been, training for this for a year since last year. Does that make sense? And by the way, I'm not saying anything about Anjali or Ayrton. In their own right, they are absolutely fantastic. But we tried it once. It was a little bit of, let's be honest, it was a little bit of a misfire last year from both of them. Can Anjali do better without the pressure? Maybe. But should we have taken that and done something different for Anjali, like build a women's division on the side? 100%. That's my main problem. Wildcards. I'm a wildcard guy now. I'm over the riders. Yeah.
No, but I tend to agree with you. I do think looking at last year when we had the wild card and we have to remember. The cut is huge. It's 25% less riders this year. So what happened last year is like they had the 6 pre-qualified riders from the top 6 places. They were directly in, and then they had 18 other riders competing to get into round 3. And since we don't have that this year, it's a huge cut when it comes to how many riders can actually, be in the competition. Last year when we had Anjali and Ayrton as wildcards, I 100% understood. I agree, and I think it was a fantastic thing to do. I've been struggling a little bit what I think about this year, because I would actually love to see Anjali compete again, because I got a taste of it last year. She had some amazing tricks in the competition, and I just wanted to have more. But as you say, I would much rather see her ride in a competition that is, dedicated for her and other women. Just because I do think it will be just a better setup, and a more natural thing to do as the next step. Same thing with Ayrton. I'm struggling to see what Anjali and Ayrton can bring more to the competition this year than what we saw last year. And that's why I totally 100% agree with you. you do know with Tom Bridge that I would love to see him compete in a big air competition because he has a different style. He is landing his tricks blind. And I was so bummed out about him not being able to compete in cold Hawaii when he was there. He actually, he hurt himself like a minute before his heat. I would love to see him compete in this. So I'm looking forward to see him competing. But as you say, when it comes to taking 3 spots away from other guys like Jamie or Rick, as you said, or Clement, or someone else of the amazing riders that could actually, be up there and competing and take this competition to the future, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even that upset about Tom. I just think that Tom's going to struggle to go deep wearing boots because the board offs have become such a prominent scoring method. But you know what? Lewis proved me wrong in the past. Maybe he can get down to the quarterfinals. I think if Tom made the quarterfinals, I think he'd be very happy, But look, the level is the level is a step up. Every year is a step up. Every year, the guys are pushing harder, bringing in more rotations and doing things a little bit differently. So, look, it's a step up. We can put the wildcards to bed for the fact that, none of us are actually happy about what the wildcards are. And I'm actually going to speak to Sergio this week on the podcast. So coming up this week on the podcast, I'll have Sergio on and I'll be straight with him and say, we need to address this wildcard situation because I'm not saying that we're turning it into a circus, but to the people on the beach, they probably don't care. But to the people who really care about it, it's sort of a little bit of a slap in the face.
Yeah. And as you say, they are actually taking valuable places from other riders that could potentially win the competition. So that you have to remember that if they had wildcards just as extra slots, then it's a different kind of thing, I would say. So
sure.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what Sergio says about it. We'll for sure listen in to that as well. All right, looking at the video entry list, there aren't that many, I would say, unexpected names there. I was actually comparing the final list, to the list that you and Colin had on the YouTube channel that you had. There are only 3 names that differ from your list to this. And you did have, for example, Lasse Walker wasn't on your list, but that's because his video.
Actually, he was, but Colin pulled him off at the last minute. Colin vetoed that.
Yeah, I know that.
We slightly differ between the podcast, which we did, and then the thing which he edited. He vetoed Lassie, which I thought, listen, and again, like Lassie, like Stig, like people like Simon Bruin, who didn't make it, I thought those performances from cold Hawaii in front of the judges would have been enough to put them forward again. So I was actually surprised that, look, it's tough for Simon, but I would have thought that Simon would have been on the reserves just because of what he did, But look, there's so many guys who missed out. I mean, again, this guy Nico Gambia is another guy. Fantastic videos, but the list goes on. I can just name them one after one after one after who missed out, So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that one of the questions I have that I would like to discuss is what do we feel about what the judges looked at when they decided this? Because, as Colin mentioned in your podcast or in your video, to be honest, Lasse's video wasn't really, 100% correct when it comes to the judging format that they had for it, but I was pretty sure he would come in come on the list because, as you said, he has performed in the past for sure. He's supposed to be up there. He did really good at Cold Hawaii, at being runner up after Kevin, and I also think that Stig was in 3rd place. So he in some way made his name on the list a much higher probability by winning that. Same thing with Arthur Gilbert, who won Laura Tram, etc. So they have proven themselves in competition, the few we have had this year.
In regards to the videos, I've watched the videos again and again, and I think that they might have made some classic mistakes. There's a lot of guys that are right foot forward dominant doing stuff out of flat water that's actually not even that high, let's say 9-10 meters, which is okay, but doing stuff in Cape Town with that thick cold wind and 30 plus knots and those waves is a different game. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of these young guys, first timers, Edgar, Val, Arthur, Stigger, I think has spent enough time down there now, and maybe Gil, those guys will struggle when they get to Cape Town because of the conditions. It's first time blues. It happens. It's not going to be a surprise, but a lot of those guys are right foot dominant, and I think a lot of them they have it off the flat. Can you do it off a kicker? That's a different game.
Yeah,
but look, you know what? It doesn't really matter. I mean, let's talk about Lassie. Number one, he's a Red Bull athlete. Does that give him the rub of the green? Ayrton's a Red Bull athlete. Tom Bridge is a Red Bull athlete. Is there some Red Bull rub there? I'd say, look, I don't want to say yes, but look, this sport is covered in nepotism at some levels, right? So you'd have to say potentially.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same every single year. Every single year, there's bolters. There's people who you think, oh, this guy will get in, and they don't. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Was I shocked? Yes. Am I shocked now? Not really. I think it's like every year. It's like, oh man, this didn't get in. This person didn't get in. But after a few weeks, it's like, okay, I'm cool with this. I'm looking forward to it. And as I was saying to you on the phone the other day, I think the next big thing will be the seeds, how they seed them, how their matchups, and that's going to be the big test for these younger guys or these newer guys in the event. Who are they seeded against, and how are they going to rise to that occasion? Because we've seen 2 years ago when Yannick came in with a lot of hype, and he struggled because he was up against big competition. He, maybe bowed to the pressure a little bit of the competition as well. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that for me, looking at the videos, there were, as you said, a lot of flat water videos coming in, that, as we saw, and the names on the list here as well. So I'm very curious to see how they will perform in Cape Town in the kickers. Stig, we know from Hawaii that he actually managed the kickers and did really, really well there. But I have no idea, as you said, with Arthur and Gil. I haven't seen that much from them.
Gil's a little bit in the Yannick mold. If I can say that. He's got that sort of down loop or that contra loop. I don't know what you call it. But I get to feel like Val, Arthur, and Edgar, they're all similar for me. They're all a very similar style, They're coming from freestyle backgrounds, all those guys. And I get that feel that they all have that same sort of feel about them. Like I don't see any of them doing anything that's super different, if that makes sense.
I have to disagree with you there about Edgar Ulrich, because you do remember that I mentioned to you in the last podcast that I really liked his video and that he brought something new to the video entry, to something else. And I went back and watched that video again. And from what I can see, he is actually doing a megaloop tic-tac. He's doing a megaloop board flip. He's doing a megaloop back roll and some sort of inverted front roll with a board off inverted front roll with his feet up. It's a bit hard to see because you have the sun in the camera right there. And also he's doing the megaloop KGB.
Yeah, I mean,
so that to me is like something. Those four?
I'm sorry. Maybe I said that wrong. I'm not talking about their videos, but I'm talking about the type of rider they are, coming from that freestyle background. By the way, point of view footage doesn't count at Red Bull King of the Year. You know that you can't have point of view footage. Any point of view footage is vetoed. Apparently.
I know, but I don't think Edgar had that point of view footage.
I'm joking, mate. I'm joking. But I mean, dude, I agree. I think that a lot of those guys are coming out of freestyle and getting into big air, because obviously freestyle game is a pretty competitive and tough thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I had a message from Nico Gambier, and he said to me, I don't want to talk about the details of the message, but he said, look, a lot of guys now are spending their whole year for this one event training. And these are the type of guys that unfortunately on that, let's say the fringe, they're the next 5-6 guys on the rank, So that's going back to my first question. I don't think Ayrton has spent the whole year preparing for this event. Maybe Tom hasn't spent the whole year preparing for this event. So that's going back to what I'm saying, that the level overall the level of bigger air riders across the board, whether you're competing at Red Bull King of the Air or you're competing in the big, the level is just through the roof.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
that's the big thing that sticks out for me. I mean, it's not about the riders anymore. It's just that, you know, it's crazy. And I hope this judging team is up to it. You know, I think we've got a new head judge. I hope that these guys are up to this challenge to, you know, actually score these events as a thing. Like, you know, I think last year I said, why do we never see a 10? Let's get some 10s. If some guys are pulling some stuff out, reward them, you know, because we see 10s in freestyle. We see 10s in surfing. We see 10s in every sport bar big air kiteboarding, where you get an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, I think I mean, looking at the level we see, I think we should have 10s up there for sure. I agree on that. I do hope that the judging team is as I said, up for the task. I mean, they should be. I know that. I don't know exactly the judging team now, but I'm guessing it's pretty much the same as has been previous years. So they should have the knowledge and experience to judge it. But it is, I must say, it is really hard I was sitting in the judges booth in KOTA Hawaii, and you know, when they have their three-man heat, it's really hard.
Lot of stuff
people are doing tricks all the time, and back roll, front roll, it's, you know, the small differences between tricks. It is really hard to see everything, and I think they made a good job, a great job when in KOTA Hawaii. So I'm expecting no less in King of the Air. But as you say, let me ask you, when you mix things like people with the strapless board.
Let me ask you a question. Of those 5 new riders, 5 new to the event, which is Stig, Arthur, Val, and Edgar, and Gil. Let's not talk about Stig, because I think he's already stepped up anyway. Of those guys coming through, who do you think will do best out of them, considering the conditions? Because all of those guys have videos out of the flat, right?
Yeah, they are from flat. It's really hard to say. I to be honest, looking at the videos and the tricks that they performed, I would say Edgar. But Arthur has proved himself, you know, in competition. Flat water, yes, it was that. But and as you said, Gil, they're really good riders, all of them. It's really hard to say. The question for me is, can they make a mark and really stick out in the competition against these big riders? Looking at like Stig and Simon Brun did at KOTA Hawaii, they were. I mean, they were competing against the best of the best there.
Gil competed at KOTA Hawaii, right? He didn't actually have a great run. I mean, he didn't. He didn't.
No.
Whether it was his first competition, whether it was left foot forward, I don't know. I mean, I think he would probably be pretty harsh on himself and say, look, he needs to do better. But yeah, I mean, there's some big boys missed out this year. You know, I mean, Clement missed out. I mean, he's there. Jason Van der Spey was riding last year. Ross Dillon Player, Stuart Downey. I mean, a lot of guys. And I mean, the South African numbers is another thing that
exactly. Let's talk about that. There's only one South African guy. Yeah, I know that you talked before about there. You think that there will be at least 3 to 4 South African riders.
Well, I think probably 4 with 24, but 3 with 18. I think is probably pretty fair. Actually, I'm getting Josh on the podcast. I spoke to him today, so it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on that. But I actually think it's a bit of a misstep, because those guys are proven performers in those conditions, and I think that's going to be a big thing. You know. Look, Ross and Stuart didn't have great videos, and I think they'll probably be first to admit that. You know, I think they'll probably be pretty open about that. I think Jason probably feels a little bit hard done by, although his sort of dangle pass at the end of the video probably didn't necessarily need to be in that one. But
Mike had a great video.
Yeah, I hope. Look, it wasn't in the most super powered conditions, because a lot of it was filmed in Brazil. But again, Mike's second in the Woo rankings. He knows that. If anyone knows the big air scene, you know, in Cape Town, it's Mike. You know, so I think Mike will get in. Look, I think Liam's 50-50, right? Let's be honest. Liam's 50-50. So that's Lewis coming in.
Liam is injured. Yeah. He's doing
That
great
means
with his recovery, but it is a long way to come to being able to perform here. So.
And he won't push himself if he thinks he can do any damage because he's got the freestyle season. Obviously, he wants to be another world champion of that. So I think Liam will make the right call. That will bring Lewis in. Then you got Mike to number 1. And again, COVID restrictions, travel restrictions. We don't know if all these guys, we can name these guys. Maybe 4 of them can't come. Maybe there's another list below Jason Van der Spaan, the 4th thing, and they're going to start filling that up. Will they fill that with South Africans if people can't travel? Sure, Stuart Downey and Ross Dillon Player are going to be there. They're worthy people to put into the tournament. So we could see some changes to the starting lineup. I mean, everything is possible. I mean, I don't know much about Xavier Kane. He's the 3rd guy. I know he's got some pretty sick board offs, but again, I'd like to see him down there. Let's see what happens. I mean, things can change, definitely.
The 2 countries that stick out in terms of number of riders is Holland, 5 riders from the Netherlands and 4 from France.
It's funny how France have really come up in the last few years, right? I think last year they were equal with sort of South Africa. I mean, it's always been Holland, South Africa, and then France has sort of filled up that. But the Dutch, as usual, right? They've got a massive big air scene, as do South Africa, but they're not represented. So it's a strange one. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I wonder how many of these guys are actually in Cape Town at the moment. I know Nick is there, Aaron's there, or Aaron's on the way. Kevin's there. I think Stephen's there. Josh is there, of course. I think Yannick's already there. I think Stig's already there. Mark's not there. Lassie is there. Liam is not there. So there are some people to still arrive. I mean, predominantly, I know Mark's come fairly late in the piece. Lewis is probably on his way down there. But there's 1,000 pros there, right? Everyone's turning up. Now the borders are open.
But I actually talked to one of my contacts that was supposed to go to or are supposed to go to South Africa now, but doesn't really know if it's going to be open for long because they heard that now the COVID situation is getting really bad there down there again. So just hoping, keeping all our thumbs together and hoping.
I mean that's something I'll bring up with Sergio when I speak to him as well. What's the latest on the COVID restrictions there? Because it did open. People are in. People are down there. It doesn't look like anyone's wearing masks or doing or following any rules. So let's keep our fingers crossed. I mean, I'm still super confident it's going to happen. I think for continuity, it's important. Look, I think if South Africa and it will be South African authorities who pull the pin. It won't be Red Bull. I think Red Bull will push ahead as much as they can. Maybe there'll be no crowds there. I don't know. But look, let's hope. Fingers crossed. And it's going to be good. I mean, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. It has to be. It has to be. We need this,
Who's going to win, man? Who's going to win?
It's so hard. It's so many good riders up there. To be honest, I kind of feel that we won't be seeing Jesse, Nick at the top. Aaron, you never know. He could for sure take another win. I think Kevin is always up there. It really depends a little bit about the conditions. If it's really, really strong wind, I think Kevin is one of the top names still. I would love to see someone like Janek, or a young guy, one of the newer names like Stig, someone like that. Of course, I would be so happy for Liam if he get to win it, of course, as well. I can't name one. I can just
you're all over the place. I mean, you're talking crazy. If you think Jesse's not going to be, look, you know what, man? I try and predict it every year. I never get it right. I always say. I used to always say Jesse, always the thing. So last year I changed, I think I changed to Aaron and then Jesse won. But look, I don't think there's going to be a change in the top 6, the big 6 at the top. I think that sort of 6 to 8, those big riders, they're going to be there 100%. I think bolters are Yannick and Stig for sure. I think, look, there's a lot of hype around Yannick. I'd love to see him do well. I think people will be forgiving if he if he makes it to the semi-finals, I think he'll be very happy.
Yeah.
And I think if Stig makes it to the semi-finals, he'll be absolutely over the moon.
Yeah.
Because that's a next step up to make the final. I mean, we used to say the semi-finals was the golden egg, right? Once you got the semi-finals, you had a ticket to next year.
Yeah.
That was like the golden egg. Now it's the top three. So I think making the fleet is a huge prize. Making the final is unbelievable. To win it is a dream come true.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty amazing just to get that lycra. You know, you can take it home and put it on your wall. You know, and say that you once were a Red Bull King of the Air competitor, which I think is
all the memories from it, and being there on the beach, as I say, in your lycra and everything. Yeah. I mean, must be a dream come true to many. I'm going
to say Jesse for a third title.
You think so? Yeah.
Well, Jesse's got 2, Aaron's got 2, Nick's got 1, Kev's got 3.
Yeah.
Let's tie it all up.
I haven't seen Jesse, but he doesn't have
Jesse
to.
Jesse never prepares. He's always riding.
No.
He turns up and just kicks ass. Yeah. I mean, the guys are. Don't forget, he's one of the ultimate sort of competitors when it comes to. And listen, no one's more professional in their approach to the sport than Jesse.
No, 100%. I understand. I agree. And to be honest, I think one of the reasons why Jesse and Nick came at the top last year was that none of them expected to come there to win it. They were just there to have fun and just riding for the fun of it. And that takes a lot of the nerves and all the mistakes out of it, and just being out there having fun. I do think that's one of the reasons why it's really hard for someone new to be up and rising and be at the top. Yeah,
it's also experience as well, right? I mean, experience goes a long way. I mean, dude, there's so many good guys in there. I'd love to see Aaron win. If Aaron won, I'll be happy. If Mark won, I'll be over the moon as well. You know, I'd love to see Liam do well. Like, I'd like to see Liam compete, but I'd like to see Liam do well because that's the kind of person he is as well. But look, I want guys to go down there and compete as well as they can. Take something out of it every time you go. Whether it's experience, whether it's something that you can apply to next year and do that. I think that's why Jesse does so well. I don't know if did you listen to the podcast with Hayden Jonas? Did you hear how much gear he had to prepare for Jesse being Jesse's caddy?
Yeah.
Mate, he had 3 8s. No, he had 3 7s, 3 8s, 3 9s, all with navigator bars. The guy had about 12 bits of gear on the beach. So that just shows how prepared he is.
Yeah.
And that he doesn't leave any stone unturned. Forget that he's riding Jaws at the moment. He's riding these massive waves. Forget about that stuff, because when he comes to Cape Town, he's going to be good to go.
Yeah. I don't think he would go there unless he feels that he wants to give it 100% and to win it or not, but at least give it 100%. And that's why I also think that the situation with Liam will pretty much, be, if Liam thinks he can win it, then he will come. If he don't, I think he will be happy to leave the spot to Lewis.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think that's the fair thing to do. Although Lewis was injured last year, and some guys thought Lewis should have pulled out, but he didn't. But let's see. I mean, Lewis had quite badly broken ribs last year, or massively bruised. And what Lewis did last year to make the quarterfinals is actually nothing short of impressive.
It's really impressive. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But there also comes experience into that. And probably quite a lot of smartness from Lewis, knowing how to ride and seeing what scores and, everything. But going back to the wildcards, I want to just ask you one question. If they had been presenting one wildcard that was below 20 years old, a young guy.
Yeah.
And they would have presented
Jamie Overbeek,
for example. Yeah.
Look, you saw him ride at Cold Hawaii.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't afraid of who he was against. Actually, to be honest, I thought that his riding he was out in heat 1, round 1, and I thought, man, he actually set the tone for what the event was.
Yeah.
I mean, he was awesome in that first round. I mean, maybe it was in round 1 or round 2, but he actually set the tone of the rest of the event. I mean, Tom Bridge got injured. It was a bit of oh man, what's going on here? Is this going to be a disaster? Jamie came out maybe in round 2. I can't remember now, but I think he actually set the tone to what the event was going to be.
And he learned a lot from that competition as well. He came to us in a judge's booth afterwards and asked a little bit of questions. And, he needed to have a more diverse heat, more different tricks. And looking at him now, I mean, he has pretty much most of the tricks nailed in now. But having Jamie Orbig, for example, and the as you talked about, the top current
Martin Hager
record holder.
Yep.
Those
I like
two.
that.
Would you have a different view of the wildcards if you had seen that?
Yeah, if the wildcards had some parameters when it was, we're going to have the top Woo competitor up to December of that year. So you had from January, let's say from December to December to gather the highest Woo score, and the highest Woo as of 1st of December of that year will get a wildcard. I'd be completely happy with that. Now, Martin Hager originally was on one of my wildcards in my wildcard picks, but I believe he cannot be there for February in South Africa anyway. So I had, if they said it's the top Woo and a young rider, then I would, man, I'm good. Because that gives another option actually, right? It gives people to think, okay, I can qualify through video, or I can go and try and bust some Woo scores out,
Yeah.
and try to go for it that way. So it does give two options, a second option to get in. And I think once you go over 16, you qualify as per normal, and it gives another young spot thing. Because what you want to do is you want to develop talent. You want to start developing people. Why do football programs have a junior team? They have youth programs because you need to keep that flow of people coming in, and not just a flow of regular people, a flow of guys with experience. How many times do you see it in football when they bring a young kid on? They give him 10 minutes and 10 minutes at the end of a match, and he comes out and he scores a belter of a goal. Great. Did they play that guy next week? No. They send him back to youth grade. Then a few weeks later, they bring him up and give him a little bit more. You have to build talent. You can't just keep throwing guys in at the deep end. And I'm about building talent.
Yeah. Hoping. Interesting to see what Sergio says about that when you talk to him. Would be fun for sure. All right. To end this show, can you give me your 3 names for the podium?
Jesse, in no order, I'm going to go Jesse, Mark, Aaron. I don't know what order it's going to be, but I'll say Jesse, Mark, and Aaron. That's my picks. I think Mark last year proved he got his formula right. He has so much variation. Now, with that experience, he's going to come through and put that thing. Aaron is just 5-time world champion, 2-time king of the air champion. You can't take that away from him. Nice. And I think Jesse just has the X factor. Jesse, just this, and actually all 3 of those guys have the unhooked variations as well. So I think that is going to be. I think that's going to be cool. So those are my 3.
Yeah, mine are pretty much the same, but I'm gonna switch things up a little bit. I'm gonna say I agree with you with Aaron, and I do think this next one will be Mark's. He will for sure.
That's 2. We're 2 for 2.
Yeah, but then I think Stig will surprise us.
Okay, I'll give you that one. That's a big call.
Yeah, I have to have the high odds somewhere.
You know what's funny? When I think about Stig though, when Stig and Cohen first came on the scene, Cohen's the next Josh. Cohen's this, Cohen's that. It's a shame how Cohen, after Cold Hawaii, maybe didn't do as well as he wanted. It's amazing how an opportunity can blow one guy so much further ahead than the other, right? So I haven't heard anything from Stig, from Cohen. I know he put a video in, but he's sort of like, we're not even talking about him. But 6 months ago, it was all, Cohen, this guy is going to be the thing. So it's amazing what an opportunity can do. And I hope these 5 new guys coming in, including Stig, he's had it, I hope they can take that opportunity and really run with it, because a good showing and a good performance at this thing, you're locking your name in for the next 5 years.
But that's one of the reasons why I feel, at least, that I do believe that Stig has a chance, because he was at the podium at Hawaii. He did prove himself in the competition. He is not, the number 1 guy with the most pressure that everyone is talking about, like Janek, for example. So I think he can surprise us in the competition. So yeah,
dude, if he makes the podium, I will buy you a beer.
Oh, great.
But if he doesn't make the podium, you have to buy me 10 beers.
10 beers. Oh, the odds on your side on this. All right.
Awesome, brother. I think that's look, everyone needs a bolter, man, and I'd love to see Anakin push forward into that semi-final spot and really shake it up a bit there, because it is the same guys every time, so that's going to be cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adrian. Pleasure listening to your thoughts on this. I'm looking so much forward to the competition, and of course we will follow this and make sure that we can we talk about it when the competition is on as well.
And by the way, guys, these are just my thoughts and Michael's thoughts. These are not by any way gospel, right? So if I have upset you, I didn't mean to. I mean, I'm just trying to think logically at times, and some people get upset about that, Michael. You know that? Some people get upset, especially after Colin Carroll episodes. We manage to upset a few people every week, so I'll try to keep that going.
We are not trying to upset people, of course. You have to remember there are some amazing riders that didn't make the cut, and all the guys on the list, even the wildcards, they are nothing but amazing riders and amazing people. So
put it this way: if the videos of guys who didn't make it, if you took those videos back 2 or 3 years, that'd be the greatest video ever seen.
Yeah,
what they're doing now, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you would be like, "Where's this guy come from? What is going on here?" It's amazing. So look, it's just the level. Anyway,
this is the level. All right. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to the next episode already on the Whaleys, hopefully. Bye.